Imagine standing in a room with 18,000 other people. All of them are the best of the best, pilots, doctors, engineers, and scientists. But by the end of today, only 12 will remain. You are one of them. Welcome to your new life. You've just been selected as an astronaut candidate, or as the veterans call it, an askin. Right now, you aren't an astronaut. You are a student with a very expensive title. Your life for the next 2 years is a grueling marathon of mental and physical breakdown. You wake up at 5 a.m. Your first stop isn't a spaceship, it's a classroom. You have to learn orbital mechanics, earth sciences, and the internal plumbing of a multi-billion-dollar space station. If a toilet breaks in space, there's no plumber coming to help. You are the plumber. But the classroom is the easy part. The real test happens at the neutral buoyancy lab. You're strapped into a 300-pound spacesuit and lowered into a massive pool. For 6 hours straight, you work on a submerged mock-up of the International Space Station. Every movement is a struggle. The water resistance mimics the difficulty of moving in a pressurized suit, but without the luxury of zero gravity. Your muscles scream, your sweat fogs up your visor, and you realize that space is actually synonymous with exhaustion. Then comes the vomit comet. You're inside a modified cargo plane that flies in steep parabolic arcs. For 30 seconds, you are weightless. You're flying, spinning, feeling the absolute freedom of 0 G. And then, the plane pulls up. Suddenly, you feel 2 G, twice your body weight pressing you into the floor. Your stomach does a somersault, and you understand why they gave you those motion sickness bags. You do this 40 times a day. 2 years pass. You've survived the wilderness survival training, the high-pressure chambers, and the endless exams. You stand on a stage, and they pin a silver pin to your chest. You are no longer a candidate. You are officially an astronaut. But you're still at the bottom of the ladder. You are now a mission specialist. Your first mission is finally assigned. You aren't flying the ship, you are the cargo's guardian. You spend months learning every single bolt and wire of the experiments you'll be conducting. You are the hands and eyes of scientists back on Earth. Launch day arrives. You're lying on your back in the crew capsule, stacked on top of millions of pounds of high-grade explosives. The countdown begins. When those engines ignite, it's not a smooth ride. It's an earthquake that lasts 8.5 minutes. The vibration is so intense you can't even read the screens in front of you. Your chest feels like it's collapsing under 3 Gs of force. And then, silence. The roar stops. Your pen floats off your lap. You look out the window, and for the first time, you see it. The thin blue line of the atmosphere. You're not just a person anymore, you're a guardian of the planet. You've reached the first real rank, but the hardest part of your career is still miles above the surface. You've made it to the ISS. You're the rookie on board, the one who gets the midnight shifts and the most tedious maintenance tasks. But as you float through the modules, you realize this is just the beginning. You are now a citizen of the stars. By now, the rookie smell has faded. You've spent 3 months on the International Space Station, and you've moved up. You are now a senior mission specialist. You aren't just following orders anymore, you're the one the ground crew calls when a primary system fails. You know the hum of the station like your own heartbeat. You can tell if a cooling pump is vibrating off tempo just by touching the wall of the Destiny module. But being a senior specialist means the stakes have tripled. You're no longer just running plant growth experiments. You are responsible for the life support systems of every soul on board. One wrong turn of a wrench, one missed alarm on your tablet, and the atmosphere scrubbers could fail. The pressure is constant, but you've learned to live with it. You've traded your initial awe for a cold, professional efficiency. Then comes the call from Houston. There's a degraded power system on the exterior of the station. It needs a manual override. This is the moment every astronaut dreams of and dreads in equal measure, the EVA. An extravehicular activity. A spacewalk. The preparation takes hours. You don't just walk out. You and your partner spend half the day in the Quest airlock, breathing pure oxygen to purge the nitrogen from your blood. If you don't, you'll get the bends, just like a diver surfacing too fast. You're cramped, you're sweating, and the silence in the airlock is deafening. You check your suit's secondary oxygen pack, for the 10th time. You look at your gloves, the most complex piece of clothing ever designed, knowing that if a tiny piece of space debris, the size of a grain of sand, hits them, you're dead in seconds. The airlock depressurizes. You hear the pump sucking the air out until there is nothing left. Absolute vacuum. The outer hatch opens, and for the first time, there is no window between you and the universe. When you step out, your brain screams at you. Every instinct you evolved on Earth tells you that you are falling. You are orbiting the Earth at 17,500 miles per hour, but you feel like you're dangling over an infinite abyss. You grip the handrail so hard your knuckles ache inside the pressurized gloves. Focus, Houston says in your ear. You begin the crawl. You move hand over hand along the truss of the station. You are a human satellite. Below you, the Himalayas crawl by in silence. Above you, the stars don't twinkle, they are steady, piercing needles of light against a blackness so deep it feels like it's pulling at you. The task is grueling. In the vacuum of space, your suit expands, becoming stiff like a giant truck tire. Every time you close your hand to use a tool, you are fighting the internal pressure of the suit. It's like squeezing a tennis ball for 6 hours straight. Your forearms are on fire. Sweat stings your eyes, and you can't reach in to wipe it away. You just have to blink and pray it moves. 6 hours later, the repair is done. You've replaced the battery unit. But then, a warning light flashes on your wrist display. Your CO2 levels are rising. Your primary scrubber is failing. This is where the senior in your title earns its pay. You don't panic. Panic uses more oxygen. You slow your breathing. You communicate clearly with the station commander. You move back to the airlock with a deliberate, rhythmic pace, fighting the urge to scramble. You make it inside. The hatch locks. The air hisses back in. When you finally pull that helmet off, the smell hits you, the smell of space. It's metallic, like seared steak or welding fumes. You're exhausted, your body is covered in bruises from the pressure points of the suit, and you've lost 3 pounds of water weight in a single afternoon. But as you float back to your sleep station, you realize something has changed. You aren't just a visitor anymore. You've stood in the void and worked. You've looked at the Earth with nothing but a thin layer of polycarbonate between you and eternity. You've proven you can handle the vacuum. You're ready for the next step. You're no longer just a specialist. You're being eyed for the left-hand seat. You're moving toward the rank of pilot. The transition from being a scientist in space to being the person who actually drives the most complex machine ever built. The silver pin on your chest has been replaced by gold. You've moved from the back of the bus to the front. You are now an astronaut pilot. In the world of spaceflight, this is a massive shift in identity. Before, you were a passenger with a job. Now, you are the heartbeat of the spacecraft. You don't just ride the rocket, you wear it. Your training has changed completely. You spend hundreds of hours in the motion-based simulator. It's a multi-million-dollar cockpit that tilts and shakes, recreating every vibration of a real flight. Your life is now a world of switches, glass cockpits, and the thousands of pages of emergency procedures that you must know by heart. If a primary computer fails during the ascent, you don't have time to look up the solution. You have to be the solution. You're back on the launch pad, but this time, you're in the left-hand seat. To your right is the commander. To your back is the crew of specialists. When the countdown hits 0, your hands aren't folded in your lap. They are hovering over the controls. You are monitoring the trajectory, the fuel pressures, and the engine temperatures. You are the interpreter between the machine and the ground. If the rocket veers off course by even a fraction of a degree, it's your job to catch it before the automated systems even realize there's a problem. 8 minutes later, you're in orbit. But for a pilot, the work is just starting. You are now the master of the orbital ballet. Imagine trying to park a car in a garage while the garage is moving at 17,500 miles per hour, and the car is moving at 17,501. That is docking. You are closing in on the International Space Station. You're looking through a docking camera, watching the crosshairs. You are using the RCS, the reaction control system, to fire tiny bursts of nitrogen gas. Soft dock in 3, 2, 1. There's a metallic clunk that vibrates through the entire hull. You've just mated 2 massive spacecraft together with the precision of a surgeon. A mistake here isn't just a fender bender, it's a hull breach that could decompress the station and kill everyone inside. The adrenaline is surging, but your hands are steady. That is the hallmark of a pilot. Life on the station as a pilot is different too. While the scientists are looking through microscopes, you are looking at the health of the station. You are the one performing the reboost maneuvers. When the ISS loses altitude due to atmospheric drag, you are the one who fires the engines to push the 450-ton laboratory back into a higher orbit. You are literally moving the world's most expensive house. But the most intense part of your rank comes during the undocking. When it's time to go home, the responsibility of the entry phase falls squarely on your shoulders. You aren't just floating anymore, you're falling. You execute the orbit burn. You turn the spacecraft backward and fire the engines to slow down. Suddenly, gravity starts to return. After 6 months of weightlessness, 1G feels like 5G. Your arms feel like lead. Your head feels like it weighs 100 pounds. Then comes the fire. As you hit the upper atmosphere, the friction turns the air around the capsule into plasma. Outside your window, it's a roar of orange and pink flames. The temperature outside is 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. You are inside a man-made shooting star. This is the blackout period. For several minutes, the plasma is so thick that radio waves can't get through. You are cut off from Houston. You are cut off from the world. It's just you, your commander, and the computer. You are watching the G-meter climb. 4G. 5G. 6G, your vision starts to narrow. You're struggling to breathe as the atmosphere tries to crush the capsule. But you stay focused on the displays. You're monitoring the parachute deployment sequence. When those drogue chutes fire, the capsule jerks violently, throwing you against your harnesses. Then the main chutes open, and for the first time in months, you feel the gentle sway of Earth's air. You're ready to become the commander. You have reached the pinnacle. The gold pin on your flight suit is now worn and scratched, a testament to the thousands of hours you've spent in the vacuum. You are no longer just a pilot or a specialist. You are the mission commander. This is the highest rank an astronaut can achieve. But with this rank comes a weight that no training simulator can prepare you for. You are no longer responsible for just a set of switches or a specific experiment. You are responsible for every soul on board. If something goes wrong, it doesn't matter whose fault it was, it is your responsibility. Every life, every billion-dollar system, and the success of the entire mission rests on your shoulders. As commander, your day doesn't start with technical checks. It starts with leadership. You are the psychologist, the mediator, and the captain. You're the one who notices when a crew member is getting homesick after 4 months in a tin can. You're the one who settles the small disputes that arise when people live in a space the size of a school bus for half a year. You are the glue holding this tiny tribe of humans together against the most hostile environment known to man. But then, the ultimate mission is assigned to you, the gateway. You are leaving low Earth orbit. You aren't just going to the ISS anymore. You are heading for the moon. The transit takes days, not minutes. As you look out the window, you see the Earth shrinking. For the first time in your career, the planet isn't a massive, curving horizon below you, it's a marble. A tiny, fragile, blue dot hanging in an ocean of perfect black. This is the overview effect at its most extreme. You realize that everything you've ever loved, every war ever fought, and every person you've ever known is on that tiny speck. And you are out here, leading a team into the unknown. Lunar orbit is different. There is no up or down, even more so than before, because the light from the moon is harsh and the shadows are absolute. As commander, you lead the descent to the lunar surface. You are the one looking at the fuel gauges, the one calling out the altitudes, and the one whose hand is on the abort trigger. Contact light. The engine shuts down. The dust settles. You are the first one to cycle the airlock. As you step onto the lunar regolith, you feel the 1/6th gravity. You feel like a superhero, but you move with the caution of a man walking on glass. You aren't here for the glory anymore, you've had your fill of that. You're here to ensure the science gets done and the crew stays safe. Weeks later, you return. The final splashdown of your career. As the recovery team pulls you from the capsule, you know this was your last flight. Your body has taken its toll, your bones have thinned, your vision has shifted, and you've absorbed more radiation than a human should. You've earned your retirement. You transition to a new role, management astronaut. You're now the one in the white shirt and tie at mission control. You're the Capcom, the voice on the radio that the current astronauts hear. When a rookie pilot is panicking because of a master alarm, they hear your voice. Your calm, steady, experienced voice. You tell them exactly what to do because you've been there. You've lived through every rank. Years pass. You're finally at home, sitting in your backyard. You look up at the night sky. Most people see beauty, but you see a map. You can point to the exact spot where the ISS is passing over. You can see the moon and remember the smell of the dust on your suit. Your life as an astronaut wasn't just a job. It was a transformation. You started as a candidate, scared and overwhelmed. You became a specialist, a worker in the void. You became a pilot, a master of the machine. And you finished as a commander, a leader of explorers. You look down at your hands. They are older now, but they still remember the feel of the pressurized gloves. You realize that while your body is back on Earth, a piece of your soul will always be up there, floating between the stars. You were a citizen of Earth who dared to leave. And in doing so, you didn't just see the universe, you became a part of its history. The mission is complete. Over and out.